Right now, the day's biggest news stories from a Vegas perspective. This is the Vegas Take with Sharp and Shapiro.
Oh yeah, welcome back. Hour number 2, right back at you, baby. It's the Vegas Take, Sharp and Shapiro. Oh yeah, glad you could join us. We'll get back to this Donald Trump stuff, I promise. We got the Hollywood conservative, longtime Hollywood producer. We call him Mr. X on the show. He does not want to be identified. Big supporter of Trump, producer in Hollywood. We're going to see what he thinks of all these actors, Robert De Niro, all these people coming out over the weekend just going after Trump. We'll get to that in a little bit, but this is a really tragic and fascinating story at the same time, at least in the courtroom. I mean, an innocent person lost his life. There's nothing fascinating about that. Have you heard of this murder trial of Amber Guyger? Well, she's the woman, a former Dallas police officer who had just worked her shift. She goes back to her apartment complex. She alleges that she walks into an apartment that she thought was hers. An African-American gentleman by the name of Botham Jean was in that apartment. That was his apartment, and she shoots and kills him. This is a bizarre story, and now she's on trial. Here are the important parts of this case that I find interesting, and I think the reason why I think she's going to be going to jail for a while. If you walk into and by the way, I believe her. I don't believe she just walked into a random apartment and decided to kill an innocent person. No, I don't believe that. I believe she's telling the truth there. But it's what she does after that really does her in. Now, you can call that involuntary manslaughter, right? It's your fault. You went into an apartment thinking it was yours. You didn't intentionally try to kill somebody, but because of your stupidity or whatever you want to call it, you went into the wrong apartment and you killed an innocent man. I kind of equivalent that to a DUI to a certain extent, right? You're the one who got drunk and got into your car. It doesn't mean at the beginning of your night you said that hey, I'm going to kill an innocent person on the roadway, but you did. So that's bad enough as it is, right? That's involuntary manslaughter, if you ask me. But it's what she did after the shooting that is very troubling. Here's what I mean. In the 911 call, and she immediately does call 911, but her first concern is about her job. Her first concern is about me. There is a man that is dying, bleeding to death in front of you. Not only is she not performing CPR properly, she takes some time to text a guy that she's having sexual relations with a couple times while a man is dying in front of her. So I want to play you audio from the 911 call first. Then we'll get a little bit of her on the stand. This is Amber Guyger in her own words, seconds after calling 911 and gunning somebody down.
I'm Amber Guyger. I need to get me. I'm in.
Okay, we have help on the way.
I know, but I'm gonna lose my job.
I'm going to lose my job. Now, let me ask some of you, hopefully good people out there. If you killed somebody accidentally, hypothetically, and I'm not saying many of you would go into an apartment that you think is yours and kill somebody, but let's just say you did. And there is a person bleeding on the ground, and you know, oh my God, I effed up. I might have killed an innocent man. What would be the first thing that come to your mind? Wouldn't it be, as a decent human being, to try to save that person's life, to do everything you can to comfort that person, to do everything you can? Remember, this is a trained police officer that is trained in CPR. And she gets on the 911 call, and instead of saying, how do I help this person? You know, what should I do to help him save his life, which she should have known anyway as a cop, she's worried about her own job. So not only is she an ignorant, horrendous human being, but she is also selfish, beyond selfish. There's somebody dying right in front of you. You shot this man in the chest. He's not breathing. And you're worried about your job? That's the first thing that comes to mind. So to me, that's important because it talks to me a little bit about her and her character. Now, this is Amber Guyger on the stand. And again, this is in trial. I believe it's day 6 or day 7 today. This is her trying to explain her actions of why she went into the wrong apartment on the stand.
Why couldn't you have given him full, undivided, and proper attention?
I was still on the phone with...
You can put the phone on speakerphone, ma'am.
I had so much stuff racing through my head.
I had so much stuff racing through my head. Keep in mind, this isn't just a regular citizen, a regular person just walking past a car accident or seeing someone injured, and most people in that situation would help. This, make no mistake about it, this is a police officer who is trained how to do CPR. And during that 911 call, moments after she shot this innocent man, and by the way, she knew it right away. She knew she screwed up right away. The first thing that comes to her mind, the first thing, okay, is her job. She says it on the 911 call. She texts this man she's having sexual relations with while a guy is dying right in front of her. We're going to take some phone calls on this case. We're going to take some phone calls on this, but I believe this woman is going to jail. But before we take phone calls, which is 257-5396, we want to get a fantastic legal analyst on the line with us right now. Her name is Anne Bremner, and what better person to talk about this case than her. Anne, thank you so much for coming on. How are you?
I'm great, and such a pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, and your expertise. You're certainly a lot smarter when it comes to this stuff than I am. Let me, but my brief synopsis on this is like involuntary manslaughter, right? I believe her. I don't believe she went into that apartment knowing that she was going to kill an innocent person. However, I think, and you tell me if you agree or not, I think her actions on that 911 call, texting the man she's having a relationship with, talking about her job, putting herself first while a man is dying in front of her is going to be her demise. What do you say to that?
I think you're brilliant. I think you're a lot smarter than I am.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, it's true. She texted that she effed up to her love interest.
Right.
And she was even seen scrolling through her phone kind of quietly as the body, of Mr. Jean was rolled by. I mean, all those things are going to sure make jurors have some pause about whether they want to walk her out the door.
So let me ask you this. I kind of compare this a little bit to a DUI in a sense that it's her fault that she decided to go into an apartment, or even if she didn't decide, but she made the mistake of not paying attention and going into an apartment that was not hers, while a DUI might be more serious because you're consuming alcohol and you're not allowed. There's no law that says you can't make a mistake by going into an apartment accidentally, I guess. But, I mean, I compare this, I call this involuntary manslaughter. And I do, the thing that is crazy to me, though, is that she is trained to give CPR, right? She's trained to try to save somebody's life because many police officers, sadly, are in situations where people are dying before their very eyes and they have to do what they can to save them. She failed as a police officer, clearly, in this situation, right? And that's got to hurt her.
It does, and the defense in this is called the mistaken fact, is that she didn't have the criminal intent to kill somebody because she made a mistake, and she didn't mean to kill anybody, or kill somebody with some kind of criminal malice. She used her training kind of piecemeal. I mean, she didn't use it to give CPR. She didn't use it to save his life. She didn't use it, in other aspects that are going to be troubling to the jury. But then, of course, she uses it when she talks about use of self-defense and the castle doctrine and how she would use force as a police officer.
Right. If you're just joining us, we're speaking with legal analyst Anne Bremner, who has a lot of knowledge on this case. Okay, so talk to me a little bit about this, Anne. What is she facing? I mean, we both agree that it's probably going to be her demise here, that 911 call. But how many years could she actually go to prison for this?
It could be anywhere from a couple of years to 99 years, and
Wow.
It's not a capital offense. And she's also, they just gave a lesser included charge to the jury of manslaughter, like you just talked about. So if the jury doesn't convict her on murder, they can convict on manslaughter. And in Texas, they combine voluntary and involuntary manslaughter. They don't have both. They're combined. And basically, if she's found to be reckless, then that is manslaughter, and she could be found guilty of that even if they can't convict on the murder charge.
If you're prosecuting this case, what are you trying to get for the victim and the victim's family?
I'm trying to get murder, but at best I want to get manslaughter. It's a really tough case. I've defended police officers for decades out here, Portland, Seattle, and in Chicago. And police officers have a right and duty to use force. People stand behind police officers, and she made a mistake. And she cried alone in the stand, and they may not want to ruin her life over this.
Right.
But, you're standing there for the victim as a prosecutor. This young man had everything in the world going for him. He was just sitting eating ice cream. He didn't come towards her. That's the prosecution's argument. She didn't have any reason to believe that she was in danger and she could stand her ground or any of those kinds of arguments. She barged into somebody else's apartment, and she killed him. She executed him when he was just eating ice cream and minding his own business in the privacy of his apartment.
That's horrible. If you're just joining us, we're speaking with Anne Bremner, legal analyst, talking about this Amber Guyger situation where she is a police officer, just finished her shift. She walks into, as she claims, She thought it was her apartment. It was the wrong apartment. She shoots an innocent man and kills him. And then we have this 911 call that comes out where she's talking about her own job. And that's, to me, that's the biggest issue in this whole case, Anne, is that in the moments where she could have saved this man's life, she thought about herself. I would say 95% of human beings, I'd like to think of most people on this earth are decent people. 95% of people that were in that situation, the last thing they would think about is themselves, their job. There is a man dying before her eyes. What kind of person makes a statement like that and then text her man? And the reason why, and correct me if I'm wrong, Ann, she texts her man or the guy she's having sexual relations with, get over here fast, to try to save her own ass. I mean, that's what's amazing to me. Yeah.
Yeah, she says, hurry, I need you. That's what she says.
God.
And she does exactly. She wants to protect herself. Hurry, I need you, and I effed up. I mean, that's so compelling. And the 911 call, I mean, she, even on the stand, I mean, she was up there saying how terrible she felt, and she wished it had been her, and me. And I don't, a lot of people thought she shouldn't have taken the stand. A lot of analysts thought she should not have testified. However, if she didn't testify, it's going to be tough to sell basically a mistaken belief defense and self-defense.
Now, Ann,
one other thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Ann.
In Texas, the state has to prove beyond a reasonable doubt the lack of self-defense. They have to prove a negative. That's tough, and that's tough for the prosecution. They have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt, the highest legal standard in the land, that she did not act in self-defense. So that's something else to consider.
Interesting. Now, when I first heard this story, Ann, and I didn't have all the details, it sounded like to me that this woman might have been drunk or high, but
right.
Wasn't her blood tested, and she wasn't on anything, right?
Right, and then somehow, I don't know why the judge let this in, but the fact that there was marijuana in the apartment of the victim, they let that in.
What does that have to do with anything?
I know, exactly. Exactly. It's like trying to dirty them up in the trial. But, she said that the door was a little bit ajar. She put her key in, but she thought maybe someone had broken in. And then she said he came towards her saying, hey, hey, hey. And that was her defense in terms of saying she had to use deadly force.
For the life of me, you're not drunk, you're not high. How dumb, and I'm going to use the word dumb here because I don't think she's a very intelligent woman. How dumb do you have to, I don't care if you've lived in the apartment 3 months or 3 years, okay? You have a doormat in front of your door, or he did, and she doesn't. The door is open, number 2. Number 3, you hear music playing. Everything, she parks on the wrong floor. I mean, I don't understand how you make this mistake. For the life of me, I know I make mistakes all the time. I've locked my keys in my car a million times, but this is at a different level here. How does she walk into the wrong apartment? For the life of me, how can you be a police officer and make a mistake like that?
I know, and the life of the law has been reason, and the key here is reasonableness. What she did, even with her mistaken belief, was it reasonable? Is all of this reasonable? Like you say, none of it's reasonable. It makes absolutely no sense.
All right,
no sense whatsoever.
So I want you to give me what you think is going to happen here. How many years, what do you think the judge is going to give her if she is convicted, which I think we both agree she will? What do you think she will be convicted of? And how many years do you think this woman is going to go to prison before she's let out?
I think she's going to get manslaughter, and especially because it's combined in Texas, and it's based on recklessness. Recklessness means there's a great risk of something very bad happening, but you do the bad. And I think that's where she is. I think she can get probably 3 to 6 years.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people think she should get a lot more, and it should be murder. But on the other hand, I think given these circumstances, with this jury, I think it's going to be a hard sell on a murder one.
I think that's fair. And listen, there's no justice here. I feel horrible for this man who lost his life at a young age and his family. This is terrible. But I will take her defense on this. I don't think race was a factor here at all. There's no proof to back that up. And I certainly don't think she woke up that morning or that night. She said, you know what? I'm going to break into somebody's apartment and kill an innocent person. It just makes no sense. There's no question. There was no premeditation here. It wasn't premeditated murder. I think in a nutshell, she's a very ignorant woman who did something very stupid and then compounded that by not trying to save this guy's life and being selfish. I mean, that's the way I see this case.
I think you're exactly right, but don't forget what she said on the stand when she was asked, did you mean to kill him? She said yes.
Well, I guess when you're a police officer, and even though she was off duty, you're trained to shoot at center mass, right? I mean, do you buy that? Yeah. So I guess I can't.
No, your argument's perfect, and I completely agree with you.
Yep.
But the fact that she said that I think we'll get her manslaughter. I mean, she had a mistaken belief, and she meant to shoot, but she was making a mistake in terms of how she assessed the situation from the get-go.
Very interesting, Ann. Yeah, I think we both agree on this case, and we'd love to have you on again when there is an actual verdict. Thank you so much for your time and your expertise, Anne Bremner. We really do appreciate it, and we'd love to have you on again sometime. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Appreciate it. Okay, there you go. Legal analyst Anne Bremner. I think we are both on the same page. Why don't we take a few calls on this one? This is a very interesting case, to say the least. 257-5396 is the number to call, but why don't we take a quick break first? We'll take a quick break. We'll take your calls on this. What do you think about this Amber Guyger case? Do you agree with me? Do you think that she deserves to go to jail? Do you think that, she's an ignoramus at the very least, and then she showed selfishness by calling 911 and worried about her own job and worrying about her own personal life? What do you think about this case? Do you think she'll be found guilty of manslaughter, involuntary manslaughter, or maybe even murder? What do you make of this case? It is a wild and crazy case, and it is a horrible situation for this poor man, Botham Jean, and his family, who he lost his life at such a young age, did nothing wrong. He was eating ice cream in his apartment. The number to call, 257-5396, 702-257-5396. We'll take your calls on the other side of the break and take a quick break right after this. We'll be right back at you. You're listening to the Vegas Take here on the all-new 101.5 FM, 720 AM, KDAWN. All right, welcome back. It is the Vegas Take. Sharp and Shapiro, we're talking about the murder trial of Amber Guyger walking into this apartment that she thought was hers, killing an innocent man. What do you guys think is going to happen here? 257-5396, the number to call. Let's get right to our busy phone lines. Let's go to Ron. Ron, what's going on? Thanks for calling in. What's on your mind?
Good morning, gentlemen. Brian, I got to agree with you 100% because this woman was absolutely in left field. There is no doubt about it. She was trespassing. How she got in that door, the door had to be open.
Right.
For her to get in.
How does she not know? How does she not know, Ron?
That's it. Now, number two, the guy sitting there eating ice cream. And number two, the door was open for her, somebody to get in.
Right.
Maybe he was waiting for his girlfriend to come or somebody.
Who knows? Yeah, who knows?
You know what I mean?
All we know is she shouldn't have been there. She broke into that. She shouldn't have been in that apartment. Yeah.
Put yourself in his pants.
Oh, it's horrible.
I mean, this woman should go to jail forever, man. She should be put in jail with the Aryan Brotherhood.
Well, here's why I disagree with you a little bit, Ron. And trust me, I have no sympathy for this woman. I'm on your side. But here's why, she does. I don't think she deserves a 20 or 30-year sentence because I don't believe this.
She deserves life.
Well, Ron, here's why I disagree with that.
An innocent 26-year-old man.
I agree. Ron.
You're 14 years older than him. That ain't right, Brian.
So let me ask you a question.
You're wrong there, Brian.
No, okay, well, hear me out. Well,
wrong.
All right, well, let's have a discussion then. Hear me out on this. Here's why I disagree.
I'm not yelling.
Okay,
I have no teeth. I have to speak up.
I appreciate that. Ron, here's why I disagree with you a little bit. If this was premeditated, for example, if she texted somebody
That's
before.
beside the point.
No, it's not. No, what do you mean it's not?
The apartment was not hers.
Ron, I agree. Ron.
Looks like, what the hell is she doing there?
Ron, we agree on that. I'm not disagreeing with you, but listen,
well, don't make excuses. I don't want to hear no excuses.
Okay, well, let me ask you a question. What do you think is worse? If somebody says, hey, I'm going to kill a black man today, they wake up and they shoot a black man. Hold on, let me finish. Let me finish. Ron, you got to let me. Ron,
goddamn subject.
Ron, you got to let me finish the question. With all due respect.
I'm what?
All right, we got to say goodbye to Ron. Ron, I appreciate the call. What I was going to say was, what if you, say premeditated murder? I'm going to kill an African American today, and you shoot an innocent man, or going into your car, getting a DUI and killing somebody. They're both heinous crimes, but one is, I'm sorry, but one is you're probably going to get life in jail. The other one you're probably going to get 5 years. They're both horrible crimes. I'm sorry, but I'm not trying to give this woman remorse, or I don't feel bad for her. She deserves to go to jail, but for the rest of her life, no, I don't think that's fair. 257-5396. Let's go to Bill. Bill, what's going on?
Good morning. How are you today?
Good, Bill. What do you think about this?
I kind of agree with you, and like you said, not knowing the laws in Texas and how they apply. Yeah, murder one I think is a little too much.
Mm-hmm.
To take a life, she was very emotional in the fact when she was being questioned on whether or not, I get it, you had a question, she took someone's life and she was in the wrong apartment, but from someone that works a lot of hours, and that's what they said, is she was working an extended shift. Could she be in the wrong place at the wrong time, and that's what happened?
But Bill, my issue, and I agree with you. But my issue, Bill, is obviously it's horrible what took place and her shooting this guy and all that stuff. But to me, what is so telling is the way she acted after she shot this guy. Right? Glad she called 911, but she calls 911. And then she starts talking about her job. Oh, no, I effed up. The first thing she thinks about is not this poor man bleeding out to death. She thinks about herself. Right. She thinks about her job. And then what does she do? She texts this guy that she's having a sexual relationship with to try to save her ass. I think this speaks volumes about her character. And if she gets 5 years or 20 years, I won't feel sorry for her. I don't think she deserves 20 years, but I wouldn't feel bad for her if that's what she got.
Exactly, because like you said, you don't know the whole entire case. They're not going to tell us the whole entire case.
Right.
But like you said, that phone call was very devastating in my eyes. In listening to that, and try to get some kind of justice.
Bill, you sound like a reasonable guy. I'd like to think of myself as a reasonable person. Let's just say, God forbid, we're putting in a situation like that, which I don't think I ever would. But let's just say, hypothetically, for argument's sake, we are. The first thing you're going to think about is what? I'm going to think about, oh, my God, how do I save this man's life or woman's life? I got to do everything I can to try to save this person because this was my fault. And then,
the other thing is, I gotta hold on this. If you ever seen any officer after a shooting,
yep,
they always are trying to save the life.
Exactly.
Why isn't she?
Exactly. How the hell did this person become a cop? That's what I want to know. Exactly. Right. She doesn't know how to give CPR, which is a big part of your job, right? She's selfish. She's ignorant. She doesn't know where she is. This is what's dangerous. I think the majority of police officers, and by the way, thank you for the call, Bill. I appreciate it. I know. The majority of police officers are heroes, and they're great people, and they do a fantastic job. We got to get these idiots off the streets. People like Amber Guyger should not ever, first of all, carry a handgun. Talk about red flag laws, number one. And number two, they should never be a police officer. If you're getting robbed or there's a domestic violence dispute, is this the woman you want to show up? She's just going to shoot everybody. Is this the woman you want? I wouldn't want this woman showing up if I had to call the police. I'll tell you that right now. Well, she's never going to be a cop again. That's the good news. But the bad news is this young man lost his life. The family, friends will never be able to see him again. That is what is so tragic about this. And we have to make sure that women like Amber Guyger or men that are this stupid never are allowed to be a police officer. We'll take a quick break. We got John Schaefer with the news coming up next. We'll take more of your calls, 257-5396. Be back right after this.